In today's report, Cressida Dick vows to crack down on revellers ahead of the reopening of pubs on Saturday. Metropolitan Police pay unqualified racism spotters £150 a day to help weed out candidates with intolerant views. It's okay to be white. Residents angered by posters in Bristol. Asylum seekers are upset that they can't get the same food here in the UK that they would have in their own home country. This and more coming up. Don't forget, these reports are daily. Please remember to subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, innies, outies and in-betweeners. My name's Dan and welcome back to another PAP Reports. It's Tuesday, June 30th, 2020. Ex-Metropolitan Police Constable Klaudia Peretti, who was attached to the Met's North West Borough Command Unit, was shown the door on June the 16th after being found guilty at Wood Green Crown Court for misuse of police computer systems. Along with being found guilty of computer misuse, Peretti is also subject to multiple police misconduct reports, including harassment and unauthorised use of police computer, breach of bail and assault on an emergency worker, further harassment and assault of an emergency worker and breach of bail conditions. Peretti, who appeared at Wood Green Crown Court on June the 26th, pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 6 months in prison. Not suspended. I'm sure she's going to make a lot of new friends while she's in prison. It seems prison officers are jealous of all the attention the police are getting, as we have another in the news. 26-year-old Millie Kirk from Barnsley appeared at Leeds Crown Court facing charges of misconduct in public office after she was caught smuggling cupcakes into HMP Wakefield for drug dealer John Anslow, who's currently serving a 29-year sentence. During the investigation, it was found that Kirk had sent Anslow more than 1,000 text messages from a burner phone during the 6-month affair. She also travelled to Birmingham to deliver drugs and have a night on the town with Anslow's ex-wife. The prosecutors said the prison service received information about the affair and began an internal investigation in April last year. A senior officer began to monitor CCTV footage on the wing where Anslow was being held. Prison staff are required to carry out hourly checks on Anslow's cell due to him being a high-risk prisoner. He said most officers would speak to the inmate for around 45 seconds to check on his welfare. However, footage showed that Kirk talked to Anslow for 5 or 6 minutes, sometimes longer, when she went to check on him. The prosecutors said it was obvious they were becoming too close. The relationship was uncovered on Anslow's birthday on June the 22nd after Kirk brought in 2 birthday cards and 12 cupcakes to the prison to give him. On one of the birthday cards contained a message which read, "Happy birthday, I love you so much, here's to many more together," and a message in the other card stated, "Happy birthday, love M." The prison governor was informed and Kirk was interviewed. She immediately admitted responsibility for taking the cards and the cupcakes into the jail for Anslow. Kirk's defence, Mark McCann, said, "It was clearly a confused relationship. Miss Kirk has, for many years, been in a same-sex relationship with a woman called Megan. The relationship had difficulties from time to time because Megan was in the army and served abroad, and there was the stress of her potentially being harmed. At the time this relationship was developing, her relationship with Megan was struggling. That created an element of confusion and made Miss Kirk perhaps susceptible to the attention she was receiving from the prisoner." Judge Christopher Batty said the offending was so serious that only an immediate prison sentence could be imposed. He said, "You put yourself in a position where you are open to corruption. The sheer quantity of those communications show the prolonged and sustained extent of your conduct. Your conduct undermined the integrity of the prison regime in HMP Wakefield. I accept that you did it because you became infatuated. It is conduct which cannot be ignored." Kirk was found guilty of misconduct and sentenced to 8 months. Not suspended. Cressida Dick has warned the public that the police have not gone soft as we approach the weekend when pubs are due to reopen, and has vowed to crack down on violence. Is that their violence or the public's? Cressida Dick said, "Some people might say we have been heavy-handed and some not firm enough, but I utterly reject that we have gone soft. We are definitely not soft. They are absolutely in a minority, but there are far too many people who don't have respect for authority in general, and there are people who will be rude or worse, vicious and violent to all kinds of people, including my officers, and engage in aggressive disorder. It is not acceptable and they should expect to face the consequences. Cracking down on violent crime is my number one priority. You will see a lot of police officers out and about next weekend, but there will be many more you will not see, and they will be ready should there be violence or disorder. If the public are out of order, we will be there. We will arrest people and we will bring them to court if they have committed a crime. The reopening of pubs seems to have been labelled Super Saturday. The police forces appear to be cancelling loo days and annual holidays over the fear of potential chaos. John Apter from the Police Federation of England and Wales said officers have been put on alert ahead of the weekend. He warned boozers it is not going to be open warfare and urged revellers to act responsibly. Let's hope the police act responsibly too. He added, I don't think we can over-prepare because I just don't know how the public is going to react. These warnings come after 140 police have been injured around the country over the past weeks due to so-called illegal gatherings, and after Priti Patel urged police chiefs to be tougher on so-called rioters. The Metropolitan Police, again, have been hiring civilian assessors at a rate of £150 per day plus expensive. That's 10 grand a year more than a starting salary of the police in roles that have been called racism spotters. The roles have been created to help weed out candidates with intolerant views, but do not need any specific qualifications. The unqualified racism spotters only need to commit to 25 days per year as a part-timer. However, if any of them choose to work full-time, they will earn around £39,000 a year. Critics of the move have complained of the unreasonable pay for assessors, but the police have defended the use of assessors, saying it is everyone's best interest that we attract, recruit and retain the very best officers. The best part is that these assessors have been used since the role was introduced in 2003, when the pay was £100 a day. But even though the people say that racism is so bad within the police, meaning they clearly aren't very good at doing their job, instead of trying to reform the role or retrain or use actual qualified assessors, they seem to think that giving them more money will make them better. A job advert on the police's recruitment website said it was looking for 50 new assessors for the Met Police. It said it was looking for people with life experience and an appreciation of diversity issues. I'll let you decide what you think that means. It said when people apply to join the Met as a police officer or special constable, they undergo rigorous evaluation at assessment days. It's essential that our assessments receive specialist input so that we're seeking individuals with the right knowledge, skills and behaviour. Specialist input from unqualified assessors, not trained to spot the same things that psychologists would be. Makes perfect sense. It added, you'll use your sound judgment to objectively assess and evaluate candidate performance against a set of competencies. So the police are hiring more people who get off on having control over others. I mean, what a job. Get paid more than the police themselves and get to destroy people's chances of a job. And you have control over someone's future. I wonder how many people will end up on a police watch list after they've failed to get past the objective, unqualified specialist input. Police in Avon and Somerset are investigating posters which have appeared in Nailsea Town Centre in Bristol, posters which have caused outrage to the local population, which has left many feeling embarrassed, shocked, angry and disgusted. Now you may be wondering what these highly offensive posters depict. Let me tell you. The posters said, "It's okay to be white." Clearly that's not the case anymore, as people are now finding offence in just about everything that us honkies say. Now I do understand that the phrase is said to be linked back to white supremacists. However, from the info that I've found out, the phrase wasn't originally used by them. In fact, it seems, although this could be wrong, that white supremacists adopted the phrase from elsewhere. Nailsea resident trainee train driver Shane Jones said he tore several posters down and that at first he was shocked and then very angry. When posters with the same message appeared near the University of Bristol campus in January, the Show Racism the Red Card charity said the slogan is made to appear harmless and benign, and this is in fact its power. But isn't that the same direction that the Black Lives Matter movement is heading? I don't for a moment believe the slogan and the movement wasn't set up with honest intentions, but from what's been seen recently, I'm starting to wonder the direction that it's heading. Shane Jones said, "I have no time for this kind of intolerance to people who are suffering and fighting for equality, not just in the UK but worldwide. I've been living in Nailsea for 4 years now and I found it a very friendly and open town," he said. "I'm actually quite embarrassed to see this kind of racism exists here." Show Racism the Red Card is encouraging anyone who sees "it's okay to be white" posters to report them to the police and, if possible, remove them. They said it's imperative that we stand together against such divisive actions. I've said this before, I know that there is discrimination and many people face it in one form or another, but why are people not fighting against all forms of discrimination instead of just one form which is in fact giving way to another? BBC, for example, not that anyone with any sense would want to work there, has advertised positions for non-whites only. Isn't that discrimination? Shouldn't they simply be offering the role to the most qualified person for the position? I'm a chef, trained and qualified, and I'm pretty good. But when I went for a job many years ago at the Kensington Thistle Park Hotel in London, I didn't get the job because another chef, a black guy, had more experience than I did at the time. Such is life. If I had got the job over him, even though I wasn't experienced enough, then, I may have said it was discrimination. Although, it could have been that they wanted to mould someone rather than try to change a more experienced chef habits. But although there are some out there who do discriminate, it's certainly not something that runs through the veins of every honky. And simply trying to make that point that yes, Black Lives Matter, but so do white and brown, whether it's a phrase that was used for a different purpose years ago or not, doesn't mean that people are now being racist. Now, I'm prepared for the backlash on this story, as I know the subject stirs up a lot of emotions, but rather than getting aggressive and throwing your toys out your pram, how about thinking about the premise of this channel community, and that's freedom of expression and respect for everyone's opinions, even if you don't agree with it, just as I do with all of yours. You will have all heard, no doubt, about the stabbings in Glasgow by Badreddin Abadallah Adam, who was shot and killed by police after the attack at the Park Inn Hotel in West George Street just before the weekend. Well, campaigners have now called for an inquiry into the asylum seeker accommodation crisis. Minister Chris Phillips said there has been talks between the Home Office and Glasgow City Council on Monday afternoon regarding moving people into more stable accommodation, with more stable Wi-Fi, no doubt. He also said there had not been a single confirmed case of coronavirus in respect of asylum seekers staying in hotels. So hang on, asylum seekers that have come to Britain, been given somewhere to live and given money, don't have to work to pay their bills and apparently are safe from a deadly virus, are in an accommodation crisis. How'd you work that out? Private housing provider Mears, which is subcontracted by the Home Office to provide accommodation for asylum seekers, said it planned to move people from hostels as soon as alternative accommodation becomes available. Well, here's an idea. How about first rehoming the people of this country? Get the people off the streets, stop them dying in doorways and prevent them from starving. Would it make more sense to get your own house in order, no pun intended, first, rather than ignoring the housing crisis that already exists here? The Home Office currently provides free, fully furnished accommodation to asylum seekers while applications are being considered. Charities and MPs have questioned the decision to place people in hotels during the pandemic, claiming they were living in cramped conditions. The hotel was 91 rooms and housed about 100 people, which is basically one per room and some couples, which seems to me pretty reasonable for a 91-room hotel. 33-year-old asylum seeker called Andrew had been living at the Park Inn for 2 months. He said people wanted to know why they were being kept this long in the hotel. How about because you'd come here unannounced and illegally, perhaps? He said it was hard living without privacy and having to eat food that they would not normally eat. I'm an African and I do normally like eating African food, he said, but I can't have that here. I just have to eat what I'm given. That's because England is not Africa. Would you expect everywhere in Africa to serve English food? I mean, how terrible. Being housed and paid for sneaking into the country while people already here are suffering and get nothing. I don't hear stories of the homeless people on the British streets going around stabbing people. Nicola Sturgeon said the Scottish Government was in contact with the Home Office about the attack. We're considering what further lessons need to be learned from what happened on Friday. A man and his 13-year-old son have claimed they were stopped, handcuffed and threatened with a taser by Metropolitan Police after they mistakenly suspected them of being involved in a stabbing in Tottenham. Andrew Boateng and 13-year-old Hugo were said to have been on a charity bike ride on the River Lee in Tottenham, North London, when the incident allegedly happened. Mr. Boateng said as they were riding along the towpath, his son a few metres ahead of him, a plainclothes police constable jumped out and grabbed the 13-year-old. Mr. Boateng said he shouted, "Stop, that's my son, he's only 13, over and over again. He said when he approached his son as he was being handcuffed, another officer confronted him and threatened him with a stun gun. Despite protesting his innocence, Mr. Boateng said he was handcuffed by police who said they matched the description of two suspects wanted in connection with a stabbing in a nearby park." I've heard all about those father and son stabbings. Personally, I used to prefer father and son fishing, but, times change. A passerby started filming the incident after they overheard Mr. Boateng asking for someone to start recording when he realised what was happening. Mr. Boateng is apparently a volunteer with a number of community organisations who are trying to rebuild trust with the police. Now, isn't it convenient that all these people being stopped appear to be members of action groups or organisations that are supposed to be holding the police to account? Call me suspicious or sceptical, but the police can't be that unfortunate, surely. Mr. Boateng said 2 apologetic community officers came to see me several hours later and said they would investigate what happened. He has filed a complaint against the aggressive and unnecessary actions of the officers and has requested the incident is officially documented. Mr. Boateng said he told the superintendent who visited the family that officers should be given unconscious bias training and further education for officers to improve race relations. Former SNP councillor Lewis Ritchie has been charged by police with alleged sexual offences and indecent communications. Ritchie was an independent councillor at Edinburgh City Council who represented the Leith Walk ward. He was arrested by police investigating complaints over offences which allegedly took place between April 2016 and October 2019. He had already left the SNP in 2018 after allegations of sexual misconduct and was suspended by the party following an alleged physical altercation. Police Scotland said Mr. Ritchie was released and will appear at Edinburgh Sheriff Court at a later date. A Police Scotland spokesperson told the Evening News a 36-year-old man has been arrested and charged in connection with sexual offences and indecent communications between April 2016 and October 2019 in the Leith area of Edinburgh and October 2007 in the Kelvin Bridge area of Glasgow. He was released on an undertaking to appear at Edinburgh Sheriff Court at a later date. Lewis Ritchie said, "I strongly refute the allegations officers of Police Scotland have recently conveyed to me. I intend to defend myself robustly if and when the opportunity arises to do so. As much as I would like to go into greater detail, I cannot give any further statement until legal process has run its course." A serious sexual offender has been given 33 life sentences for attacks on 11 women and children after he was freed from jail by what's been described as a team of unstable and inexperienced staff, which allowed him to carry out a spree of sexual assaults. 34-year-old Joseph McCann was given his sentence in December 2019 after carrying out the attacks after he was released from jail at the beginning of 2019 after a probation service error. McCann saw 10 staff over 11 years, with 3 different probation officers responsible for his case in the months leading up to his prison release. 2 months after he left prison, over a course of 15 days, he abducted, raped and assaulted victims aged between 11 and 71 in Watford, Greater Manchester, Lancashire, London and Cheshire. He had been seen by probation officers 10 times in that 2 months, the final time in April, just days before he carried out the first rape. An internal review published by the Ministry of Justice included repeated failures to recall him to the prison despite officials' warning of the risks he posed. The review also said that McCann was managed by an unstable team lacking experienced and skilled practitioners. They suffered from poor management oversight, high workloads, poor performance and high staff turnover. There were signs that he posed an increasing risk to the public. There was evidence of his potential for sexual offending. The report also laid out that prison staff did not share information about the risk posed by McCann with probation, meaning probation staff did not have a clear picture of who they were dealing with and were making decisions based on inadequate assessments. It was found that McCann had, in his initial time in jail, been regarded as posing a high risk of serious harm to family members, having sent letters including threats of sexual violence to relatives. He had also sent a threatening letter containing a sexual reference to his probation service offender manager, causing his case to be handed to another worker. A Ministry of Justice spokesman said these were horrendous crimes and we have apologised to the victims for the unacceptable failings in this case. We have greatly improved information sharing between prisons and probation officers, and all probation staff have received new mandatory training on when offenders should be recalled. Finally today, PC Dave Adams from Avon and Somerset Police is to face a misconduct hearing on July the 6th, which is expected to last 3 days. Allegations against PC Adams are for breaching the standards of professional behaviour in that he gave a dishonest, misleading and inaccurate account to a chief inspector and his manager of why he failed to attend an event to give a presentation. Certainly makes you wonder, if they can lie about something as small as that, what else are they capable of? The hearing will also be told that PC Adams also sought to deflect blame from himself and told his manager untruthfully that he did not work from home. Big thank you to all channel supporters, especially the channel's Patreon supporters. Your support is truly appreciated. And that's all I have for you today. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police, and of course, other officials.
Good night, all.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.